have fond memories as a kid, alone in his room playing Resident Evil on Sony's PlayStation, and this game was something creepy and spooky, mysterious and
a Jill sandwich.
I'm running low on ammo and I've not got any more of those luscious green herbs. I'm feeling on edge as danger can lurk at every corner. As I open the door and run down a long corridor, a dog jumps through the window. I panic. I'm terrified. I pee my pants. This is survival horror, you little bitch. Not the first survival horror game, but certainly one of my favourites. The Resident Evil franchise certainly brought survival horror to the masses. Hey, but what about me, says Alone in the Dark. I was doing all this survival horror before Resident Evil. Yeah? Well, you weren't as popular. Oh, I'm sorry, but it's true, although that Santa suit was pretty cool. But in 2008, Alone in the Dark returned to have another stab at the survival horror genre, with their 5th game in the series. And of course, they named it Alone in the Dark, because why not? Alone in the Dark Inferno on the PlayStation 3. And that's the version I'm playing. In fact, the PS3 version, Inferno, is said to feature a lot of improvements over the original Xbox 360 release. Which has to be a good thing because the Xbox 360 version has a score of 58 on Metacritic. Oh, and Atari were not impressed with the review scores at the time. They even threatened to sue a number of websites for their low scores. Atari claimed that they hadn't even sent these websites the final code, essentially insinuating they got the games from the high seas, me hearties. That was my really bad pirate impression, yar. So let's find out in this retrospective whether the reviewers were right, and I, because this is all about me, will decide whether the game deserves to be locked away in the games dungeon vault to be burnt forevermore. You play as Edward, who has just regained consciousness, so he doesn't know he's Edward until this guy Paddington tells him. I wonder if these guys are friends of Paddington.
Who said you could talk?
Turns out Edward has just woken up as they're about to throw him off the roof. Fortuitously, you're actually saved by a demonic crack, which allows you to escape. I mean, I say demonic, but it's actually just helped me out, so thanks, crack. Not the drug. Don't do drugs, kids. I like the fact the guys of Paddington try to deal with this demonic crack by shooting it. You can do it, boys. Then again, what can I say when I end up doing stupid shiz like this?
Hey, you!
Or getting myself stuck and set on fire. One thing that's pretty unique about this game is the way that you can deal with environmental puzzles. Oh no, there's a fire! What am I going to do? If only I had a way to put out the fire. Oh, but there is. Not only can you use the fire extinguisher to put out fires, but you can also use it to bash open doors and piss people off.
Stop that!
There's a couple looking for some help and this guy gets totally messed up. Like Edward gives a shit though. He's too busy trying to remember if he prefers Italian or Mexican food. You know shiz is serious though when people are exploding past you in slow motion. And even those who are offering to help are falling to their doom. Maybe he likes crabs.
Hey, are you okay? Find something to light your way.
Okay, what could I do? I guess I can set this wooden chair on fire. Okay, cool, at least now I can see where I'm going, but also my hands are on fire. My hands are on fire. My hands are on fire. You meet up with this lady in red again who is evil now, and you can tell by her face and the way she talks.
Now give me my stone!
I don't have your stone, and fuck you anyway.
Yeah, it's not a good idea to talk to her like that, but you can get revenge with a frying pan. I guess some things never change. Eventually you meet up with Sarah, who becomes a core component of the story, even though Edward should have ditched her for commenting on his sick moves.
What the hell was that?
It's called Dancing Lady.
I think I'm alright.
It's clear that Half-Life 2 was a considerable influence on this game. I mean, there's even tap dancing head crabs. The thing is, the combat in this game isn't fun at all. Like, in Resident Evil 4, combat is fun and rewarding. In this, you use the analog sticks to control your swings, and it's just clunky and awful. And the shooting isn't much better. Many enemies need to be killed with fire, which ends up just being aggravating more than anything. Like when you get sand in places you shouldn't. What am I doing with sand? You soon escape with Paddington and Sarah in a car. Sarah will shout directions at you as you drive through the streets as the roads crumble, cars come flying at you, and seriously, this is how I ended up. Turns out Edward got his driver's license off the back of a cereal box. You all arrive at the park, and Paddington proceeds to tell Edward it's all down to him to save the world.
Meet me at the museum, Edward. Room 943. No!
What? He just shoots himself. Oh, I'll meet you at the museum, but I might have forgotten to say I'll be dead. How are you going to meet me there, Paddington? In a body bag? As a ghost? Edward goes off to get medical treatment because apparently he's bleeding to death, which a handy bandage takes care of, even though I can see the blood seeping through. But it's okay, you'll be fine. Get another body bag, Sarah. Soon you find yourself in an Italian job style situation with a bus dangling over a precipice. And you need to work out how you can safely... Actually, you get to use these dead bodies to your advantage. Oh well, their death is your gain, I guess. Next you get to kill this thing with fire, and then Nemo. You make your way through a sewer section because it's a video game, and of course there's a number of hazards as you make your way through. Whether it's a risk of being electrocuted, or there's this black goo which kills you if you come into contact with it, and I hate it with every muscle in my body because the controls are just clunky and it makes it as frustrating as hell. The park section is pretty open, especially for a survival horror game. You can even drive around and park anywhere you like. Next up, you burn this route and you meet up with Sarah and a new guy who tells Edward that he went missing in the 1930s. Which means...
You're kidding. I mean, you're like 100 years old.
Guess Edward doesn't look too bad for his age, and he's handling it pretty well.
There must be some mistake.
Waking up tonight was a fucking mistake.
Whoa, the game got a bit dark there, but you know, at least he's not taking it out on anyone else.
Don't fuck around or I'll shoot you myself.
Oh, okay, so he's a 100-year-old psychopath. Nice. After some bats take your car for a ride, in typical survival horror form, you and Sarah get separated again. So Edward continues to make his way to the museum. Yeah, because why use doors? Sarah is inside and she's caught inside this monstrosity. Ugh. Okay, so I guess I've got a boss fight coming up. Okay, maybe not. You have to do a CPR mini game where it tests Edward's ability to count.
6, 7, 8.
And Edward kisses her without permission too. Then he reminds her to do that thing that she forgot how to do.
Just breathe.
Oh god.
After everything they've been through, Edward must be glad she's safe.
Ouch! What's your problem?
You continue your way through the museum looking for a special room. In fact, I got stuck on this puzzle for a bit. You see, the other side of this door, there's a sort of head crab nest which blocks a laser that's needed to open the door. So you know you need to get rid of the nest, but you can't shoot it, and you can't throw anything at it. Also, blowing the stuff up doesn't help with the situation. Who knew? Okay, so there's a vent, and this stupid head crab thing comes out, licks some blood, and goes back to its nest. So I realise I need to create a Molotov, attach some sticky tape to the bottle, set it on fire, throw it on the head crab thingy so it attaches to it, and then it will carry it in for me, blowing up the nest. Okay, this could work. After you face more boring and annoying enemies, you meet this security guard who happened to know Paddington, and he calls you the public.
I'm not the public.
Guess not.
So you need to make your way to him as he's the only one who can grant you access to where you need to go. When you get there, you have a boss battle to contend with, which is the same as every other boss battle in the game, i.e. throw and shoot Molotovs near it. Boom. After defeating the boss, you can't progress any further because the fingerprint scanner doesn't recognize you, of course. And oh no, the security guard is dead. So how are you going to get through? Do you A, find a way to hack the door, or B, drag over his body and use his hand on the scanner? If you said A, you're wrong. If you said B, you're also wrong, because the answer is C, grab a massive sword and cut his arm off. This was actually my favourite part of the game, grabbing this massive sword and chopping off his arm. Also, once you've cut it off, you can actually chase Sarah about with it for the lols. So we get to room 943 and finally Edward stops threatening to kill Sarah.
I'll shoot you myself.
And instead turns on the charm.
You know, you're rather pretty when you're quiet.
The game then all goes spooky with some paranormal shiz. And then Paddington turns up, and he's a ghost now, and he tells Sarah to knock you the flip out. Yeah, well, Edward just called her pretty, so she's not exactly going to do that. You speak to Ghost Paddington, and what you should say is, why didn't you just help out instead of shooting yourself and coming back in ghost form, you big fat stupid head? You get a job as a forklift driver, and watch as I struggle to platform in this game thanks to the stupid enemies and cumbersome controls. Next up is a train section where you're chased by a giant monster who's trying to hijack the train, all because he refuses to pay for a ticket. So you do your usual Molotov thing and some little puzzles so you can get to the next carriage before the monster, oh just forget it. Eventually you get to what I can only assume is a demon sphincter, and make your way to get the other part of this magic stone thingy. You face a bunch of trials which are all pretty easy. No, this isn't what's meant to happen. I'd also rather not be on fire again, please. This man is on fire! Eventually, after succeeding at the trials, you meet this old guy, and Edward is as polite as usual.
The hell are you talking about?
It turns out old guy is centuries old and survived by ordering delicious Pizza Hut. I like the fact that Edward drags this centuries old guy out into modern day civilization, where the likes of like mobile phones and cars would be like sorcery to him. Edward proceeds to torture him in his first ever car journey with his elite driving skills. And yes, this is how people normally drive, old man, stop asking! When you get to Sarah, she's been taken hostage by the main bad guy, Crowley.
Shut your mouth before I put another hole in your face.
You were saying, bitch? And thankfully, this is when you finally get to the end of the game. As you activate the stones, Sarah becomes all evil and you have to make a choice. Either shoot Sarah or... Well, in all fairness, Edward did say,
I'll shoot you myself.
so you can choose to shoot Sarah, and if you do, the game ends with you turning all evil, and old guy Hermes gets sucked into the light. If, however, you choose to let her live, Edward just walks away. That's it, he just gives up. Maybe he's gonna go get some Mexican food or something, who knows. Alone in the Dark, the 2008 version, is a game that dared to be different, even though I think it ultimately failed in what it tried to accomplish. The game can get incredibly frustrating due to the lackluster controls, the enemies are just boring, and the majority of the boss fights are the same. The game is a bit crap to be honest, but luckily some of the mechanics are quite inventive, even if it is badly executed a lot of the time. The game isn't vault-worthy though, just about. But if you think this is bad, I've not even mentioned the PS2 and Wii versions of the game, which is actually made by a different team. But those are some games for another time. Thanks for watching. If you got this far, then I hope you enjoyed the video. I'd like to know what you thought, so please feel free to leave your thoughts down below. Until next time, keep surviving.
Yes! Can you go down first and see if the path is clear?
Yeah, it's not clear.